Of course, this is a humanities-based project, although the paradigm can extend much more broadly than that to any research field. And one of the key defining features of research in a scholarly environment is that it has a deep historical timeline. It's longitudinal, as the researchers say. In the last 10 years or so, one of the major developments on the internet, of course, has been social networking and, more broadly conceived, social computing applications of all kinds. The result is that the infrastructure and paradigm for scholarly research has diverged from this new capacity on the internet. The capacity that served historical longitudinal research is paradigmatically the library, a collection of books or other resources that sit still, and the user wanders through it basically alone. I can't tell you how many times I've been lost in the stacks alone at major research libraries, and it's a very existential, solitary experience. It's as if you were there in a cemetery of ideas and no one else was left alive on Earth. Meanwhile, the internet is abuzz with a hive of people talking to each other, creating knowledge and resources together. The paradigm there is not really a collection of resources like a library. The paradigm there is a community, whether it's a social network, a Facebook community of friends, a Twitter stream, or something else. So we had the idea for our project, RoSE, a research-oriented social environment, that we should try to bring these two major paradigms of collective knowledge together. There ought to be a way to think about a library and one's encounter with it as if it were part of the same social network in which people have friends and acquaintances and scholars today, whether it be something in the vernacular realm such as Facebook, or in the more scholarly and professional realm such as LinkedIn or academia.edu and so on. So we've created what amounts to a kind of scholarly Facebook for the dead, let's call it, where documents, authors, artists in the past have profile pages in our system that are stocked with documents, with their relationships, their friends, and much more than friends, many other kinds of relationship types. So you can be an author of, an influence upon, a friend of, a lover of, a brother of, a sister of, and so on. We've gone out and harvested automatically by machine a whole sort of a repertory of past authors, artists, and others, along with documents, and very basic relationship types, the normal kinds of relationships you would find from library catalogs, author of, and so on. And our system is set up to allow users who have an interest in a particular author or movement or period to go in there and, on top of that kind of skeletal wireframe of relationships, begin to thicken the description of authors, documents, and their relationships to build up a kind of a intellectual portrait of, for example, the Romantic movement in the 19th century, or the Fluxus movement in art in the 1960s and 70s, and so on. And the result is it's no longer just a sitting repository of books on a shelf. It's a repository that is intertwined with a community of users, as if that dead author were actually part of a sort of Facebook of knowledge now. So on that dead author's profile page, there will be links to succeeding critics and students and others who have used that author and commented on him. The dead author's page will evolve, just as the living user's page evolves with relationships to those past authors. It's an attempt to give a beginning learner in a field, and honestly, the most advanced researcher is just a beginning researcher whenever they come upon a new topic. It's an attempt to give the beginning learner an intuitive, eyes-on understanding of where the dense, rich networks of knowledge relationships are, which have the most interesting structures, where you might want to begin to look if you wanted to, dive into a field. One paradigmatic usage we have in mind is a classroom usage. An instructor could say to a class, I want you to learn something about the American Transcendentalists, and I'm going to point you to RoSE and give you a few starting points, authors and works, and I want you to go in there and construct for me a rich sort of a profile of that movement. That means that you find the central authors, you describe the relationship between them, you show me snapshots of a resulting social network diagram, and you hands-on build knowledge about that movement rather than sort of sitting there passively learning about it. We're hoping by the end of this academic year. Right now it's on a production server, on a server in the English department. It's not accessible generally to the public, although there is a guest account that we let people use to navigate the system. It's also on a development server in our Media Arts and Technology program, where a lot of work has been occurring that we haven't committed yet to the production server. One of the key development aspects of the project right now that our Media Arts and Technology graduate student researchers are working on is optimization of performance and scale so that we speed up the system. We want to get it to the point where the user interface is a bit more friendly, where the speed of the system is a bit more friendly before we turn, for example, crowds of students loose on it. So that's where we are in the project now.